Hey everybody. How'd I say that knowing there'll probably only be 5 or 6 people that'll watch this video, but that's okay. So here we are again, and I've got a few more to finish off this kitchen series, and this is one of them. What you're looking at there is my 36-inch standard, two drawer, two door base cabinet with a 39-inch tall, 36-inch wide, wall cabinet above it. It's a pretty standard setup. And you can see maybe by what's on top of the counter there, this is what I call my coffee bar. So, of course, as usual, ignore all the other work that's going on around this project. Still have, you can see the toe kick to finish, the baseboards, the wall painting, changing out the wall switches, adding a light there in front of that window, but that's neither here nor there. So again, if you look, this is your basic cabinet. It's a fine cabinet, nothing wrong with it. I just wanted to make some changes. So um, if you look at the cabinet with it being open, and I've gotten the doors off here, you can see the first thing I did was I added these pull-outs, these little slides, and these are full extension slides. They come all the way out. And yes, you do give up some space, as I will mention later in the video, but it makes it so much easier to get at what's under there. And then the other thing to notice, if you even care, is I've added a dedicated outlet for the things that sit on top of the counter that go through a hole, so I can plug them in and not have all those cords to deal with. And then I removed the shelf because that's part of what we're doing here in the modification. So that said, the the project is essentially going to mount a full slide out drawer going the full width of the cabinet. Well, as much as I could get. So the first thing to do is you have to realize that on these inset cabinets, you can't just mount it up against the left and right side because it would run into the face frame. So I had to develop a kind of like a spacer. And this is some plastic wood that I'm using for some window seal and some other things. And you can see kind of there where I have my X's, and those X's are for where I'm going to be connecting it to the glide, and then the other screws that are sort of in place there are how I'm connecting it to the cabinet itself. So in fact, I had to double up on these pieces to get it to come far enough out so it wouldn't interfere with the door. So we got that handled pretty well, and the thing I'm showing you now here is the screws coming through the side of the cabinet. Because I wanted them to be very sturdily mounted, I wanted them to come through both of the spacer pieces, if you will, and then through the 5/8 inch plywood. And I have to just take my angle grinder and grind those little nubs down there, and then I will put the skin on. So, and then on the other side that's not exposed, they just go into the drywall that's already on the wall from before. So just be aware that if you're going to do something like this, you don't want to put that skin on until you're completely finished. So that was, not a big deal. So now you're looking at the actual picture of the frames getting ready to be, not the frames, but the glides being ready to slide out. And when they slide out, as I said before, they're kind of full extension, so you can see they extend well beyond the doors themselves and all the way out. So then I made a custom drawer to fit the slides, and I did that last because I had no idea the exact measurement until I actually got them on there. It turned out to be about 29.5 inches, and I went with, I think, about an 18-inch or so depth. That left me enough room not to run into the cords, in the back at the outlet. So there it is, kind of sitting on the glides before I painted it and did the front piece. So I took a little front trim piece and painted it white. By the way, I'll mention in another video, I did take a cabinet, well, actually it was a piece of toe kick, to Home Depot and a skin, and I said, I want you to color match this, and they did a really nice job. So that the color that I painted the front of that drawer there, skin, that you see now clamped on, it actually matches the outside of the cabinet, the finish of the cabinet. So then I just, of course, load up my coffee, and that was the idea. This was like an overflow for some of my coffee. So now what I'll do, just to give you the kind of the full run, I'll shoot the start to finish video. And again, I hope you guys know this isn't me showing off or me trying to say, oh, look how good I do things. This is just to give you ideas. That's all that it is. I mean, I'm a B plus kind of a guy. I'll take the time, do things over if I have to, but nothing that I do is ever perfect. So, again, these are just ideas. That's all they are. So here we go. Let's watch the video. Okay, so to recap, the upper cabinet's 39-inch, 36-inch wide upper cabinet, wall cabinet. So there's the first two shelves are pretty much mine. There's some coffee stuff, some mugs, so on and so forth. Then moving down to the actual counter, a couple of my one of my coffee makers, and then my grinder, then the cans you can see there with my whole beans in them. And then the drawers themselves, didn't do too much different here, just used a silverware liner to hold my Nespresso pods, and then this holds some of my extra raw beans, funnel, my scale, whatnot. Okay, so nothing crazy there. The big part is really the bottom, to get maximum use of the space. And since I hate really crawling back to the back of a cabinet, I have the slide outs. And yes, you lose a little bit of space using slide outs, but at least I can get to everything. So my coffee roaster and a big old pot there and some mugs, and then my pull-over kettle and a few other little pieces. So that's whatever I need to put down there. But the big project is the drawer, which you can see right above, which is taking the space of the shelf, and it just comes straight out, and it's basically holding my extra coffee, and it just gives me easier access than having to reach back to the back. So pretty much that's it. I mean, it's a couple of little things I talked about before you got to be aware of, but the whole setup works for me, and if it gives you a few ideas, all the better. Thanks again to Rich out there at RTA Wholesalers. See you in the next video.